All right, let's talk tutorial analysis grade reflection forms and the importance that they have in us helping our students in the different interventions that we offer at Westminster High School and Abbott. If you look at this form, this student is doing pretty gosh darn well. Has A's, B's, and a couple C's. This one I'm not happy with. However, if you take a look, after the students put their grades into the form, and they've done this with the tutor's help, so the tutors also know what they're doing. We have the date. The student says they need the most help in AP Econ, AP Spanish, all right? AP Econ, AP Spanish, and Physics. By looking at the form, we realize that the economics grade at a 79% is the one that he is most concerned about. I do find it a little interesting that the B- in English isn't included in that, but this is the student's assessment. Now, if you take a look at the specific focus area, it looks like the student's struggling with the tests, placed that they did homework, meaning that they're probably missing some homework, and then wrote this area here, which I have no idea what it says. So we need to talk to them about making this clear. Let's see how well they did as far as taking a look at how we could help. Give homework time. Not going to happen, but I understand why students want that. The tutor, review the different lessons. In the class, he needs to spend time in study groups and talking to the content teacher. The student is actually blaming the teacher here, giving homework less and explain more clearly. This should be, how do you address, or how does the student address the content teacher? What questions can they ask and things like that. All right, so let's work to the backside when we take a look at where they spent their tutorial time. All right, so again, looking at the grades, economics, Spanish, and physics is where this student needs to be spending the most time. But if we take a look, every single tutorial is done in math. All right, almost all is done in homework, but has done an outstanding job in their tutorial grades. If we took an overview, again, we see that the student is spending a lot more time in math. And what it says here, in the past 2 weeks, his tutorial has been subject in math. He needed help with the homework, all right? But probably we need to make sure that that student is focused on, especially economics, one of their lower areas. How your question needs to be changed. It says, I will need to spend more of my time in the economics class. So the student becomes aware of that. Wow, I've been spending a lot of my time in an A class. Maybe I need to spend some more time in an economics class. So this one's pretty straightforward. Let's go to the next one. All right. This one is a very important tutorial analysis grade reflection form, because as we can see, this student is really struggling, failing math, English, science, almost failing social studies, getting a low grade in Avid, and the only class that they're doing well is AP Art. This is a student that we need to have a more specific intervention with. Obviously, they know that they need help here. After speaking with the student, we found out that, hey, they're having some issues with some test taking, getting homework done. There's more to it than that. When you see grades like this, you need to go back and look at their transcripts. What you find out is that this student did quite well up until her senior year. And this is where we need to sit down and say, what's going on at home? Why are you overwhelmed? And provide this student with some extra support. And let's see if they see that in their tutorial form. Avid teacher, helping me with tutoring and getting my daily homework. Tutor, help me on the test. Class, review, content ask teacher for help after class. I think that's very, very limited. I think they should be going into very specific goals and what they can do to help improve those grades. And again, that shows us that this senior needs some intervention. If we look at where this student has been spending the tutorial, I'm proud of the fact that she's been to a few places. So we've had some questions off a test, some questions off some homework, spent some time in some social studies, some time in some science, and did well in all of her tutorial grades. Looking at physics and econ is where she's been spending the most time. And it says, yes, I have been doing what they need to do. Okay, so very basic. I don't really need to change, but I need to work on math. And I'd say the student needs to work on a lot of things. So going back again, these are the interventions where we need to sit down, get K11 involved, talk to the school psychologist, and really have a heart-to-heart talk, because this student is going to potentially A, be our first ever non-grad, which I don't think will happen, but B, they may drop out of the A through G requirements, which isn't acceptable. So we need to make sure we have multi-tiers of support for this student. Okay, let's look at the last group. All right, so this student's got some interesting grades right here. Doing insanely well in all of her courses, and then has a D+ in math. And we see, okay, AP Calculus, that's challenging. She's gotten very specific that she's struggling with derivatives, tangents, and the chain rule. So she's actually reflecting on, hey, this is where I need help. Avid teacher, more homework time to ask tutors for help. This student might need a little extra support in that area as tutors, more ways to solve the problems in the questions so they don't feel like they're getting those solved. We need to find out, is this student actually being one of the tutorial leaders, or is she standing off to the side? I, knowing the student, know that she doesn't ask a lot of the questions, so therefore that's where I'm going to push her. Class, ask questions we don't understand, and again, content teacher, asking them more, explaining, meaning this is what they want the teacher to do. No, it should be what the student wants. Looking at the back, spent all of her time in math, which is good, all of her time in the homework, and got mainly A's and one lower score here. And it says that, yes, they're getting help there, and it's helping them understand what they're struggling on. How will your questions change? My questions will improve my performance if I ask more specific questions. So basically what you can tell is, like I said, this student hasn't been participative and maybe just going through the motions on her TRFs because she hasn't been one of the student leaders. So anyhow, there it is in a nutshell, how we take a look at our TRF analysis forms.